Trump is now going after children, undocumented children. There are over 85 non-for-profit organizations in the United States that provide legal counsel to unaccompanied minors here in the United States. Unaccompanied minors are children who come here undocumented alone. They're sometimes as young as toddlers by themselves for various reasons. Now, why would an unaccompanied minor as young as 2 years old come here without their parents? Because sometimes they don't even exist. A lot of my minor asylee children clients who come here, they come here by themselves because their parents didn't make it, quite literally didn't make it to the border, or they came here with their parents and they got separated for some reason. They came here with their family, other family members. They applied for asylum. They get immediately detained and withdrawn and separated from whatever family members bring them here. Another sad and unfortunately common reason why a minor would come here while unaccompanied without anybody is because they're coming here to avoid harming other people. I'm not kidding. In Central America, a lot of gangs basically have taken over the government when it comes to the MS-13. And what they do is they recruit, not informally, they recruit children to work with them to harm people. So these children are not going to school. They don't have a normal life. They're not going to school. They don't have health care. They're not hanging out with their family. They do not have any kind of safe childhood in their home country. So to avoid being recruited by the MS-13, whatever gang has basically corrupted their entire country, they leave. They leave on their own. Mostly their family can't make it. Their parents can't make it for various reasons. But this is a life or death situation. So unaccompanied minors quite literally come to the country because they don't have another choice. Well, just last week, Trump halted all legal funding to over 85,000 organizations in the United States that provide legal funding to unaccompanied minors. He did not want them to have help or lawyers. Obviously, this is not met with support from both sides of the political spectrum. Everyone was very upset about this. Why? Well, because Trump has claimed that children are the people who he's protecting from immigration, from the border crisis because of cartels and trafficking. Well, if you take away their legal representation, you're not helping them with trafficking and further exploitation, are you? So I imagine that the backlash didn't exactly bode well for Trump. So whoever told him to withdraw it, only about 3 or 4 days later did he actually rescind that order to halt all legal funding. There was absolutely no explanation or press release as to why the funding was rescinded in the first place and then why it wasn't rescinded, why he took the whole move back. Unless children are just a political ploy, which they are. This is his entire campaign. Trump even actually created an ad campaign going over undocumented immigrants and trying to scare them. So going after children, I'm not surprised, but this is a completely new low. He is all talk mostly. There's no way that we can actually mass deport 11 million undocumented immigrants in the United States, but what he's trying to do is scare us, and now he's going for our children. Well, I guess he wasn't actually that serious because he's now turning around, and instead of withdrawing funding, he's actually directing ICE to target hundreds of thousands of undocumented children here in the United States. Multiple news outlets have obtained a leaked ICE memo stating and implementing a 4-step process to deporting undocumented immigrants who are children who are deemed flight risks. How is a child deemed a flight risk? Good question. But by this memo, it's basically any child with a removal order. How do you get a removal order when you're a child? Good question, considering unlawful presence doesn't technically start until you're 18. You can't really be deported until you're 18 per the INA. It doesn't really make sense. But as per this memo, basically if you enter the country illegally and you get caught, you could have a removal order at the border. If you apply for asylum at the border, you have a court date and you miss it, basically, you can have a removal order, which is very common because we keep taking legal representation from these children. We're separating them from their families. How are they supposed to go to court when they're 2, 3, 5 years old? Doesn't make any sense. Or if their family gets deported. So when you enter the country unlawfully and your family gets a removal order and gets deported, you can very well be deported with them. The ICE operation is allegedly aimed at protecting children from trafficking, but how are you supposed to do that when they are coming here to basically flee violence? They're coming here to be reunited with family members from the United States because obviously wherever they are from is not safe enough. So how are they protecting them by deporting them and putting them back in the country that they are quite literally seeking refuge from? You don't. Children have long been the political ploy when it comes to immigration on both sides of the political spectrum, unfortunately. Let's look at DACA. Dreamers were undocumented children who were brought here to the United States basically by their parents or somebody else. It wasn't their fault that they're here, and while they were undocumented, Obama gave them legal protection from getting deported as well as work authorization. And it was a great program, although it did have its issues. It doesn't have any pathway to citizenship. It's really just protection. It's sort of like TPS. You can stay here, you can work, but everything might be taken away from you when any president or any lawsuit shows itself. Now, this specifically happened with the state of Texas as well as Trump. Now, unfortunately, the way that Obama created DACA was very vulnerable. The whole process did not allow for legal commentary. So when Trump sued to try to take it away, he alleged, or his lawyers alleged for that matter, that it wasn't technically legal. This is a very stupid legal argument. Obviously, this is built in racism and hatred for immigrants. He wanted to take away protection from quite literally children. This is not the first time that he has tried to take away refuge, safety, work authorization, and roofs over children's heads in the United States. Fortunately, back in 2017, we still had a good Supreme Court. They shut it down. They did not let him take away DACA from Dreamers. But unfortunately, when Biden was president, the state of Texas decided otherwise and tried again to take away DACA from Dreamers. Now it's been tied up in litigation. It's gone to the appellate court. Appellate court shot it down, sent it back to the district court only about a month ago. It's going to be tied up in a litigation for a long time, but the arguments against it are minuscule. They're petty. There is no reason to take away work authorization and protection from Dreamers who have been living here the whole life, paying taxes, contributing to our economy, going to college here, having families. They are no threat to society. Trump alleges that what he's trying to do is get rid of criminals. They are not criminals. This goes to speak that anything that Trump has said about immigration and his intention and his objective is BS. It's not true. He has alleged that he's trying to get rid of the bad ones, the criminals. Children are not committing crimes. Dreamers, quite literally and legally, administratively, procedurally, cannot commit crimes in order to maintain their status. So why are you trying to get rid of them? Why are you trying to take this away from them? Hatred. This is what you do if you have a child who is undocumented. You need to know your rights. They need to know your rights. They need to have a Know Your Rights card, one of the red ILRC cards on them at all times. You need to consult with the lawyer if you have a pathway to citizenship for them. If not, you need to understand what to do if you're in this situation. It's very, very important for you to stay informed, and I will continue to post daily on this channel on knowing your rights and more information, especially updates when it comes to immigration.